The artist who helped define not only the largest miniature painting company, but the miniature hobby as a whole, was told by his professors to give up. If you've been in miniature painting long enough, you've heard the name John Blanche. It was announced this morning that John Blanche passed away, and it got me thinking about just how much of this hobby traces back to one artist. Not just Games Workshop, but the hobby as a whole. The way we weather miniatures, the way we use our colors to tell a story. Even the idea that a miniature can be art instead of just a game piece. A lot of that traces back to John Blanche. So while I paint one of John Blanche's most iconic miniatures in his style, I want to talk about the man who helped shape this hobby and why his influence is still everywhere, whether you realize it or not. For this video, I am painting Canoness Viridian, based on one of John Blanche's most famous pieces. I painted her before, but I wanted to revisit her and push her closer to Blanche's style. And to understand that style, I think we need to start much earlier. Back when John Blanche was just a kid, he was filling his notebook with dragons, monsters, fantasy, myth, and epic battles. Things I feel like all of us were drawing at that age. Eventually, he attended art college, and apparently his teachers were not impressed. At one point, he recalled being told nobody would ever hire him to paint angels, dragons, goblins, and trolls. He was told he had a romantic spirit, but that it would never earn him a living, and therefore wasn't worth doing. Imagine telling that to a man who would go on to help define an entire era of fantasy art, help shape Warhammer at its core, and whose influence still shows up on our painting desks all over the world. But in reality, I think a lot of hobbyists can relate to this sort of scrutiny. Who hasn't been told, that's nice, or that's interesting, and maybe even questioned our investment in the hobby. But that's one thing I love about John Blanche. He was never embarrassed of any of it. He spent his entire career being exactly the kind of artist he wanted to be. And thank goodness he did, because if he didn't, this hobby would probably look very different. But to understand why John Blanche became so influential, we need to take a look at his work. So our model has been primed, but I realized I'm missing some pieces. So I'm going to be doing some kit bashing. I could only find one shoulder pad that would fit this model, so she might look a bit weird with one gigantic pauldron, but I think that just fits John Blanche's style even more, because the easiest way to describe his style is just weird. Beautiful, influential, but definitely weird. The first time I saw John Blanche's artwork, I didn't entirely get it. The proportions are strange, the brushwork is rough, the perspective isn't always technically correct, and everything feels chaotic. It almost looks like somebody ignored all the traditional rules of illustration and somehow got away with it. After a few years of painting book covers and illustrations, Blanche eventually joined Games Workshop. And it's hard to overstate how important that ended up being, because John Blanche was there during the foundation of what Warhammer would be, what it would feel like and look like. Everything that makes Warhammer what it is. The candles, the reliquaries, skulls, the strange mix of religion, horror, fantasy, and sci-fi. A lot of that DNA traces back to that one artist. People often describe his work as Gothic or medieval, and that's certainly part of it. His paintings are filled with towering cathedrals, holy light, ancient relics, saints, and religious fervor. But that's only half the story. But first, this week's video is sponsored by me. Are you a little lost when it comes to miniature painting? Do you like the way that I explain things, or maybe are looking for someone who has legit college professor experience? In that case, you want to support me on Patreon. My library of videos is growing every month, and it starts at complete beginners like what brushes you need and how to set up your wet palette, onto more advanced techniques like non-metallic metal and color zones of the face. Later this month, there'll be a tutorial on how I painted this miniature for this video. So follow the link in my description box, join my community. I can't wait to see you. Alright, back to the video. Here I'm starting with black and base coating the armor and fabric. Then I'm taking these desaturated steely blue grays and slowly building up the volumes of the armor. First a large rectangle shape on the thigh, then layered on top with a slightly lighter color in basically the exact same spot. This new layer is just a little bit smaller so that we can see the border of our previously applied color. This border is what helps create the basis for smooth blends. To keep the fabric and armor looking like separate elements, I'm highlighting the fabric with a brownish gray color. Again, keeping it desaturated so that our yellow and red will pop later. For the other half of Blanche's inspiration, he talked about drawing ideas from glam rock, punk, and counterculture. And once you know that, you start seeing it everywhere in his illustrations. The outfits are over the top, the silhouettes are exaggerated, nothing feels restrained. But beyond daily life, he also enjoyed turn-of-the-century illustrators like Rackham and Kay Nielsen. Just look at this battlefield by Nielsen and the similarities are obvious. Same perspective, same use of limited color palette, same joy in painting. For our first pop of color, it's time to paint the gold pauldron and gold details. I'm starting with a dark red and will work my way up to a sickly yellow. To create the look of non-metallic metal, I'm creating stark shifts between my highlights and shadow colors on each individual feather, the sphere shapes that together make up the skulls, etc. This sudden shift on every surface is what gives the illusion of reflection. For Canoness Viridian, Blanche talked about wanting this piece to be particularly emotional. At the center of the image is the warrior saint standing triumphantly atop a pile of skulls with one foot literally engulfed in flames. Behind her is complete chaos. The entire scene is bathed in the red glow of a battlefield consumed by hellfire, packed with pilgrims, priests, soldiers, smoke, and fire. The more you look at it, the less the painting actually makes sense. The scale is all over the place, the environment is impossible, the perspective shifts depending on where your eye lands. But the goal was never realism, it was to communicate the feeling of Warhammer. And that lack of realism is something I'm trying to keep in mind while painting this miniature, though I'm not very good at it. Because if John Blanche's work teaches us anything, it's that technical perfection isn't always the goal. My blends don't need to be buttery smooth, the face doesn't need to be perfect, it's more about the stories, the color, the mood. Now obviously, I'm not the first person to take these ideas and lessons to heart. Eventually, these concepts would become an entire movement, Blanchitsu. Using the Zorn palette frequently seen in Blanche's work, this style is characterized by its use of earthy dark tones and pops of red and yellow, kit bashing, and use of weathering materials like rust, mud, pigments, and general grime. And if you want to try Blanchitsu yourself, there are several products that will make it easier than ever. Throughout this video, I used Two Thin Coats Dark Art Set, which I really liked because of how obviously it is inspired by John Blanche, but there's also the John Blanche paint set from RE Painters, set 1 through 4. For the base, I'm using Bear Cavalry's Trench Crusade basing set, Muck and Mire. Their tri-grid mud adds instant variety and realism, and the pigments allow me to weather the miniature to easily add the grime John Blanche is known for. But beyond the products, beyond the Blanchitsu style, it's the freedom Blanche inspired that impacted this hobby the most. And that's the most interesting thing about John Blanche. His ideas have become the foundation of miniature painting. Weathering, kit bashing, painting in unusual colors. Those ideas are so common, they've become normal. And when your ideas become so widespread, people stop noticing where they came from. That's the biggest sign of influence there is. So today, while painting this miniature, I've been thinking about John Blanche and how it is partially his work that brought all of us together. John Blanche has left a mark on this hobby that will probably continue long after all of us put our brushes down for the last time. Thank you for everything, John Blanche, and thank you to this amazing community of miniature painters. Alright, that's it from me. If you like what I do, you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. Go join me on Patreon, where you can get access to every other Sunday live streams, behind the scenes images, and join my awesome community. Otherwise, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.